The massive space station hung in the void like a glittering jewel, its crystal towers reaching out in all directions. Inside the main conference hall, beings from across the galaxy had gathered for the most important trade meeting of the year. The air buzzed with excitement as delegates from dozens of worlds prepared to make deals that would shape the future of interstellar commerce. Captain Han Wu straightened his blue uniform as he walked through the crowded halls. His ship, the Aurora, waited in the docking bay below, ready to host the traditional diplomatic reception that marked the end of each summit. For 3 years now, since humans had joined the Galactic Council, this ceremony had been a highlight of the gathering. "Everything ready, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Kim Soo, falling into step beside him. She carried a datapad with the guest list, over 200 names from 40 different species. "The Aurora is prepared to receive our guests," Han replied with confidence. "The cook has prepared dishes from 12 different worlds, and the entertainment system is loaded with music from every known civilization." They entered the main assembly hall, where Ambassador Velthak of the Hegemony Prime stood at the central podium. The alien was tall and thin, with 4 arms, and skin that shimmered like oil on water. His large black eyes scanned the crowd as he spoke through his translation device. "Before we conclude today's proceedings," Velthak announced, "Captain Han Wu of the human vessel Aurora has invited us all aboard his ship for the closing ceremony." A strange silence fell over the hall. Han noticed several aliens shifting uncomfortably in their seats. The massive Krillian war chief, a being known for charging into battle against space pirates without fear, suddenly looked very interested in his feat. Ambassador Velthak cleared his throat. "While we appreciate the generous offer, I must respectfully decline. Our life support systems may not be compatible with human vessels." Han frowned. This was the first time anyone had mentioned compatibility issues. Human ships were designed to accommodate dozens of different atmospheric requirements. "I assure you, Ambassador, our environmental systems can handle any," Han began. "Nevertheless," Velthak interrupted, his 4 arms crossing in what humans had learned was a gesture of absolute refusal. "I cannot risk the safety of my delegation." One by one, other ambassadors began to speak up. The diminutive Pixari representative, whose people were famous for flying through asteroid fields for fun, politely declined, citing scheduling conflicts. The Vorthok mercenary captain, who hunted space monsters for a living, suddenly remembered urgent business elsewhere. Dr. Li Jun, the Aurora's science officer, leaned over to whisper to Han, "Sir, this is the same pattern we've seen at every diplomatic function. They always find excuses to avoid our ships." Han watched in growing bewilderment as excuse after excuse poured forth. The merchant collective claimed their religious customs prevented them from boarding during certain star alignments. The Stellar Federation cited concerns about their delegations' dietary restrictions, though human ships carried food synthesizers capable of producing any known meal. "Perhaps we could hold the reception here on the station instead," suggested Ambassador Talshore of the trade union. Her 6 tentacles writhed nervously as she spoke. Lieutenant Kim Soo noticed something odd. While the aliens were giving polite excuses, their body language told a different story. The hegemony delegates had their protective scales slightly raised, a sign of stress. The Krillian warriors kept glancing toward the exits. Even the peaceful Harmony Collective, known for their meditation practices, seemed agitated. "Is there something wrong with our ship?" Han asked directly. "Some problem we're not aware of?" The hall fell silent. Several aliens exchanged quick glances. Finally, old Ambassador Mordic of the Ancient Conclave spoke up. His voice was careful, measured. "Captain Han, your species has many admirable qualities. Your bravery is legendary, your determination unmatched, but your ships—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Your ships are built in a way that troubles us." "What do you mean?" Han pressed. But Mordic just shook his head. Perhaps it is best if we simply hold future ceremonies on neutral ground. Station facilities are quite adequate. As the meeting disbanded, Han found himself standing in the empty hall with his crew, watching as every single alien delegate hurried away. Not one had accepted their invitation. Not one had even seemed tempted. Communications Officer Parkman approached with a worried expression. "Captain, I've been monitoring the alien communication channels. They're using coded language, but I'm picking up phrases like dangerous vessels and unstable crew quarters." Unstable. Lieutenant Kim Soo looked confused. "Our ship passed every safety inspection. We have the newest technology, the best shields, the most advanced life support systems in the fleet." Engineer Choi Dan nodded in agreement. "The Aurora is one of the safest ships ever built. I don't understand what they're afraid of." Han stared out the observation window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, his beautiful ship waited in the docking bay. A ship that apparently every species in the galaxy found too terrifying to enter as they walked back toward their vessel. Han couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. Something that made their perfectly safe state of the spacecraft into what the aliens clearly saw as a death trap. The mystery would have to wait. But Han was determined to find answers. Dr. Lee Jun stared at the data screens in his laboratory, rubbing his tired eyes. For 3 weeks straight, he had been trying to solve the mystery that kept him awake at night. Why did every alien species in the galaxy refuse to board human ships? The question had become an obsession. "Computer, show me all recorded incidents of aliens boarding human vessels since first contact," he commanded. The screen flickered and displayed a single word that made his heart sink. "Zero matches." Found Lee Jun leaned back in his chair. In 4 years of contact with 43 different species, not one alien had ever willingly stepped aboard a human ship. Not even once. This was not just unusual. It was impossible by normal standards of galactic diplomacy. His door chimed, and Engineer Choi Da entered, carrying a steaming cup of coffee and a stack of data pads. "Still working on the alien problem?" she asked, setting the coffee on his desk. "It's getting stranger," Lee Jun replied, taking a grateful sip. "I've been studying the patterns. Even the bravest species won't come near us. The Vorthok mercenaries who hunt stellar whales for sport. They cross to the other side of the docking bay when they see our ships." Choi Da pulled up a chair. "I've been talking to some alien engineers during the station breaks. Very carefully. Of course, they get nervous when I even mention our ships." "What did you learn?" One of the hegemony engineers let something slip. He said their safety protocols require them to maintain at least 5 kilometers distance from any human vessel during normal operations. Choi Da shook her head. 5 kilometers. That's the same distance they keep from unstable reactors. Lee? Chen's eyebrows shot up. "They treat our ships like nuclear bombs. It gets worse. I found some intercepted communications from the Stellar Federation." Choi Da activated her datapad. An alien text scrolled across the screen. "Listen to this translation. All personnel are advised that proximity to Terran vessels may result in psychological contamination. Emergency. Mental health screening required for any being exposed to human ship environments for longer than 10 minutes. Psychological contamination." Lee Jun stared at the text. What could that possibly mean? "Communications Officer," Park Min's voice crackled through the ship's intercom. "Dr. Lee, Captain Han needs you on the bridge. We've intercepted something you need to hear." Minutes later, Lee Jun and Choi Da stood in the bridge, listening to an alien transmission that Parkman had decoded. The voice belonged to a Krillian officer, speaking to his home fleet. "The human death ships have arrived at Kepler Station," the translation device rendered in mechanical tones. "All vessels maintain maximum safe distance. Under no circumstances should any crew member accept boarding invitations. The Madness containers are not to be approached." Captain Han looked puzzled. "Madness containers? Death? Are they talking about us?" "It has to be," Parkman said grimly. There are no other human vessels in that sector. Dr. Li Jun felt pieces of a puzzle clicking into place, but the picture they formed made no sense. Captain, request permission to contact the Galactic database directly. I need to access alien ship design specifications. Granted. What are you looking for? I want to compare how different species build their ships. Maybe that will tell us why they think ours are so dangerous. Ours. Later, Li Jun gathered his findings and called a meeting with the senior staff. His expression was troubled as he activated the holographic display. I've analyzed the ship designs of 37 different species, he began. Every single one follows the same basic pattern. Multiple backup systems for every critical function. Automated safety protocols that cannot be overridden. Fail-safes built into the fail-safes. Lieutenant Kim Soo studied the alien ship schematics floating in the air. They're incredibly redundant. Even if half their systems failed, the ship would still be safe. Exactly. Now look at this. Li Jun switched to human ship designs. This is our standard configuration. What do you notice? The bridge crew examined the hologram in silence. Finally, Engineer Nam Soo spoke up. We have manual overrides for everything. Every safety system, every automated protocol, every emergency procedure can be disabled by the crew. Including life support, Choi Da added, quietly. Including reactor containment. Including structural integrity fields. Captain Han began to understand. From their perspective, we've built ships that our own crews can turn into suicide weapons. It's worse than that, Li Jun continued. I found records of human ships doing exactly what aliens would consider impossible. Ships that flew into radiation storms to save lives. Vessels that disabled their own safety systems to complete rescue missions. Crews that manually overrode every protocol designed to keep them alive. Parkman pulled up a recent news report, like last month, when Captain Park Ji flew her ship directly into a collapsing wormhole to evacuate a research station. She manually shut down every system that would have prevented the approach. The aliens saved everyone, Kim Soo said, but 2 alien minds. Watching that must have been like watching someone deliberately walk into a fire. Dr. Li Jun nodded slowly. That's exactly what it was like. 2 species that trust their automated systems completely. Humans appear to be insane. We build ships that can kill their own crews, and then we regularly prove we're willing to use that capability. Captain Han stared out at the stars, finally beginning to understand why his perfectly safe ship was seen as a nightmare by every other species in the galaxy. The investigation was over. Now came the hard part, figuring out what to do with the truth. Dr. Li Jun worked through the night, his computer screens casting blue light across his tired face. The revelation he had discovered was so shocking that he needed to check his findings 3 times before believing them. At dawn, he finally called Captain Han to the science lab. Captain, I think I know why every alien species fears our ships, Li Jun said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. But you're not going to like the answer. Captain Han entered the lab, followed by Lieutenant Kim Soo and Chief Engineer Nam Soo. The holographic displays showed technical drawings of dozens of different spacecraft, alien and human designs, side by side. Show me, Han said simply. Li Jun activated the first display. This is a standard hegemony cruiser. Look at the control systems. The hologram highlighted various sections in red. The pilot cannot disable the life support systems. It's impossible. The computer won't allow it. That makes sense, Kim Soo observed. Why would anyone want to turn off their own air? Here's a Krillian warship. Li Jun switched displays. The crew cannot override the structural integrity fields, even in an emergency. The ship's computer considers maintaining hull strength more important than any mission. Nam Soo studied the alien designs carefully. Every critical system has layers of protection. The crew can't access them directly. Exactly. Now watch this. Li Jun brought up the technical specifications for their own ship, the Aurora, human vessel, latest Earth design. What do you see? The three officers stared at the hologram in growing understanding. Unlike the alien ships, the Aurora's design showed manual override capabilities for every single system. We can turn off life support, Han said slowly. We can disable the reactor containment field, Namsu added. We can shut down artificial gravity, structural integrity, navigation, communications. Kim Su's voice trailed off as she realized the implications. Li Jun nodded grimly. From an alien perspective, humans have built ships that their own crews can destroy at any moment. Every human vessel is essentially a potential suicide weapon controlled by the people inside it. But that's for emergencies, Han protested. Sometimes you need to override safety systems to save lives. That's exactly what terrifies them. Li Jun pulled up a new display showing incident reports. 3 months ago, Captain Park Ji disabled her ship's safety protocols to fly into a collapsing wormhole. Last year, the science vessel Harmony manually shut down their reactor to avoid a chain reaction that would have destroyed a space station. Those were heroic actions, Kim Su said. They saved thousands of lives. To us, yes. To aliens, those incidents prove that humans are dangerously unstable. They see crews who willingly risk death, who ignore every safety measure, who treat their own survival as less important than their mission. Chief Engineer Nam Su walked around the holographic display, studying it from every angle. I've been looking at this wrong. We design our ships, assuming the crew will make good decisions under pressure. They design their ships, assuming the crew might make fatal mistakes. It goes deeper than that, Li Jun continued. He activated another screen showing psychological profiles. I accessed the Galactic Council's behavioral studies on different species. Every known civilization values individual survival above mission completion. Every species except one. Humans, Han said quietly. Humans. We're the only species that regularly chooses mission success over personal safety. The only ones who will knowingly walk into danger to help others. To the rest of the galaxy, this makes us appear mentally unstable. Li Jun brought up recordings of alien communications they had intercepted over the years. The translation software had finally decoded the full meaning of phrases they had only partially understood before. When they call our ships madness vessels, they mean it literally. They believe that anyone willing to disable their own life support must be insane. When they talk about psychological contamination, they're afraid that being around humans might make them start thinking like us. Lieutenant Kim Su looked confused. But surely they understand that sometimes risks are necessary. Their computer systems don't allow unnecessary risks, Namsu explained, understanding dawning on his face. If their ship's computer determines something is too dangerous, they literally cannot do it. The controls won't respond. So when they see human crews manually overriding safety systems, taking risks that their own computers would never allow, it looks like collective insanity, Han concluded. Dr. Li Jun activated one final display, showing a communication from the Stellar Federation to all member species. This message was sent after the wormhole rescue incident. Listen carefully. The mechanical voice of the translator filled the lab, warning to all vessels. Human ships are crewed by beings who cannot be predicted by normal behavioral models. They will sacrifice themselves for strangers, ignore survival instincts, and deliberately choose dangerous actions when safer alternatives exist. These behaviors indicate severe mental instability. All contact should be minimized to prevent contamination of crew psychological profiles. The lab fell silent. Outside the viewports, stars twinkled peacefully, unaware of the cosmic misunderstanding that had isolated humanity from the rest of the galaxy. So that's it, Captain Han said finally. We're not feared because we're evil or aggressive. We're feared because we're willing to die for our principles. And because we build our ships to let us do exactly that, Li Jun added. Every human vessel is proof that we trust our crews to make life and death decisions. To aliens, that trust looks like madness. The revelation was complete, but it brought no comfort. Understanding the problem was only the first step toward solving it. The emergency alarm screamed across the bridge of the patrol ship, defiant as Captain Shin Young studied the horrifying data streaming across her screens. Research Station Kepler-7, home to 200 alien scientists from 12 different species, was about to be consumed by the largest solar flare in recorded history. Captain, the flare is expanding faster than predicted, reported Science Officer Beiho, his voice tight with concern. It's going to hit the station in 47 minutes. Through the view screen, Captain Shin could see the research station, spinning slowly in space, its solar panels glinting in the light of the nearby star. The station housed some of the galaxy's most brilliant minds, working together on projects that could benefit every known civilization. What about evacuation? She asked. Lieutenant Park Tae shook his head. The station's transport ships can't handle that many people. They'd need at least 6 hours to evacuate everyone safely. Other vessels in the area. 3 alien ships, Captain, but they're all maintaining minimum safe distance. Their computers won't let them get any closer to the solar storm. Captain Shin studied the tactical display. The hegemony cruiser Wisdom, the Krillian battleship Thunder, and the merchant vessel Golden Path were all positioned exactly 30 million kilometers away from the expanding flare. Their automated navigation systems had calculated this as the closest safe approach distance and would not permit their crews to fly any nearer. Distance to the research station, she asked. 15 million kilometers from the storm's edge, reported Navigation Officer Kim Da. While inside the radiation danger zone, the communication system crackled to life. This is Station Commander Velthik, to all vessels in range. We are requesting immediate evacuation assistance. Repeat, we need emergency transport for 200 personnel. Captain Shin opened the channel to the alien ships. Hegemony Vessel Wisdom, can you assist with evacuation? Negative, human ship, came the reply. Our safety protocols prevent approach to the radiation zone. Our computer systems will not permit crew risk. The Krillian battleship responded similarly. Our navigation computer has locked out manual control. Cannot override safety measures. Captain Shin looked at her crew. Every face showed the same grim understanding. The alien ships were physically incapable of mounting a rescue. Their automated systems, designed to protect crew lives above all else, would not allow them to enter the danger zone. Captain, Chief, Engineer Oh-min called from his station. I'm reading the radiation levels. If we approach the station, we'll be flying directly through the solar storm. Our shields will start failing after 8 minutes of exposure. How long to evacuate 200 people? At least 12 minutes, probably 15, with the docking procedures. Lieutenant Park Tae ran the calculations on his screen. Captain, the computer is classifying this as a suicide mission. Probability of survival is less than 20%. Through the communication channel, they could hear the growing panic on the research station. Alien voices from a dozen species called out readings, evacuation times, and desperate requests for assistance. All vessels, this is Station Control, came another transmission. Solar flare impact in 38 minutes. We are unable to complete evacuation with current resources. Captain Shin stood up from her command chair. She had been trained for moments like this, though she had hoped never to face one. Around the bridge, her crew waited for orders, their faces calm despite the impossible odds. Engineering, I need manual override of all automated safety systems, she commanded. Oh-min's hands hovered over his control panel. Captain, the computer is warning that this action will disable every protection we have. No automatic retreat, no emergency shutdowns, no fail-safes. Override accepted, she said firmly. Navigation, plot direct course to Research Station Kepler-7. maximum speed. Kim Da hesitated. Captain, the computer is refusing to plot that course. It's showing red warning lights across the board. Manual navigation then. Take us in. Across the ship, warning klaxons began to sound as system after system registered the crew's intention to fly into lethal radiation levels. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke in calm, measured tones. Warning. Crews attempting dangerous. Maneuver automated safety systems offline. Manual control assumed. Probability of survival, 18%, through their communication channels. The three alien vessels watched in horror as the human ship turned toward the solar storm and began accelerating, directly into the expanding wall of deadly radiation. Human vessel Defiant, called the Hegemony Captain, you are flying into certain death. Abort your approach immediately. Negative wisdom, Captain Shin replied calmly. We have people to save. As the Defiant plunged deeper into the radiation storm, the alien observers fell silent. Every computer model, every calculation, every safety protocol in their combined fleets showed the same result. The human ship was committing suicide. Hull temperature rising, reported Omen. Radiation levels climbing past safe limits. Structural integrity at 70%, added Park Tae. Stay on course, Captain Shin ordered. The rescue took 14 minutes. 14 minutes of flying, through radiation that should have killed them all, with every safety system disabled. Trusting only in their shields and their determination to save lives, when the battered Defiant finally limped away from the solar storm, with 200 grateful alien passengers. The watching alien captains understood something new about humans. They didn't build death traps. They built ships for crews brave enough to choose others' lives over their own safety. 3 days after the Kepler-7 rescue, Dr. Kong-mi walked through the corridors of the alien transport ship Harmony with a heavy heart. The diplomatic exchange program had seemed like a good idea when she volunteered, but the constant fear in the alien's eyes whenever she mentioned human ships made her job difficult. She was the only human aboard the vessel, serving as a medical consultant to help bridge the gap between human and alien healthcare practices. The Hegemony physicians were polite but distant, always maintaining careful professional boundaries. The emergency alarm shattered the quiet. Afternoon routine, Dr. Kong dropped her medical reports and ran toward the sound, her training taking over. In the medical bay, she found Chaos, a young Hegemony child, no more than 8 years old by human standards, lay unconscious on the examination table. Her 4 small arms were limp, and her normally shimmering skin had turned a dull gray color. Around her, 3 alien doctors stood frozen, staring at their medical displays. What's wrong with her? Dr. Kang asked, pushing through the group to examine the child. Complete organ failure, replied Chief Medical Officer Tolvek, his voice filled with despair. Her filtration systems have shut down. Without immediate surgery, she will die within the hour. Dr. Kong quickly scanned the medical readings. The child's condition was critical, but not hopeless. She had seen similar cases during her residency on Earth. We need to operate immediately. Prepare the surgical bay. That is impossible, Tolvek said quietly. Our medical computers have run the calculations. The surgical procedure has only a 37% chance of success. Our safety protocols will not permit such risk. What do you mean, won't permit? Dr. Kang stared at him in confusion. The medical system has locked out all surgical controls, explained another physician. When the risk factor exceeds 40%, our computers prevent us from attempting the procedure. It is designed to protect patients from unnecessary harm. Dr. Kang looked at the dying child, then at the sophisticated medical equipment surrounding them. Everything needed to save the girl's life was right there. But the alien doctors were prevented from using it by their own safety systems. Override the computer, she said urgently. The alien physicians recoiled, as if she had suggested something obscene. We cannot override medical safety protocols, Tolvek gasped. That would be madness. The risk calculations exist to protect our patients. The risk calculations are wrong, Dr. Kong said firmly, moving toward the surgical controls. I can save her, but I need access to your equipment. You cannot disable our safety systems, another doctor protested. No civilized being would ignore medical protocols. But Dr. Kong was already working, her fingers flying over the alien control panels. Her medical training had included emergency procedures, including how to work with unfamiliar equipment under pressure. The alien computer systems were different from human designs, but the basic principles were the same. Warning, the medical computer announced. Unauthorized override detected. Safety protocols disengaged. This procedure exceeds acceptable risk. Parameters? The alien doctors backed away from the surgical bay, as if Dr. Kong had become something dangerous. To their minds, she had done the impossible, deliberately disabled the systems designed to protect their patient. Please, whispered the child's parent, who had arrived just as Dr. Kong began the operation. Please, save my daughter. For the next 2 hours, Dr. Kang worked in the surgical bay while the alien medical staff watched from behind protective barriers. Every few minutes, the computer would announce new warnings about risk levels and safety violations. But she ignored them all. Her hands moved, with steady precision, guided by years of training and experience. She had performed this type of surgery dozens of times on Earth, always with good results. The alien computers saw only statistical risk, but she saw a child who needed help. When she finally emerged from the surgical bay, exhausted but triumphant, the young patient's vital signs were stable and improving. The alien doctors stared at their monitors in disbelief. The procedure was successful, Dr. Kong announced. She'll make a full recovery. The child's parent, a tall hegemony diplomat named Zephmore, approached Dr. Kong with trembling limbs. You ignored every safety measure to save my daughter, they whispered. I calculated the real risk and chose to accept it, Dr. Kong corrected gently. The computer only saw numbers. I saw a sick child who needed help, but the protocols exist for a reason. Chief Medical Officer Tolvek protested weakly. How did you know the procedure would work? I didn't know for certain, Dr. Kong admitted. But I knew the risk was acceptable, and I knew she would die without the surgery. Sometimes you have to trust your training and take calculated risks. The alien medical staff stood in stunned silence, processing what they had witnessed. A human had deliberately disabled every safety system designed to protect their patient, had ignored every warning their computers could generate, and had successfully saved a life that their own protocols had declared unsavable. 2 weeks later, when the Galactic Council convened for its next session, something unprecedented happened. Zephmore, the grateful parent, walked slowly up the ramp of the human diplomatic vessel Aurora, becoming the first alien in galactic history to voluntarily board a human ship. As the airlock sealed behind them, they finally understood the truth that had terrified their species for so long. Humans didn't build death traps staffed by madmen. They built ships crewed by people who refused to let safety protocols prevent them from doing what was right. The age of understanding had finally begun.